Hi class, this video will go through the Excel growth rates practice in class assignment step by step to talk about how to do some what if analysis on a worksheet. So I have already downloaded the start file, the answer key, and the instructions. And so I'm going to go ahead and open those up right here so we can work on that together. I've also downloaded the answer key so we can go back and forth. So go ahead and you can have this video open while you're completing the assignment and pause it as needed, and it should take you through step by step. This assignment, this practice aligns with objectives 5 and 6 in chapter 3 of Excel. So you will see that this project actually takes you through a portion of your textbook and also aligns with the follow-up grader project as well. All right, so basically what you're looking at is we have a worksheet here on the left, and I fictionalized this. Actually, I looked up some of this data. This is real data. So what we're looking at is how the population has grown in Scottsdale over a 60-year period, right? And we want to do some projections. So we kind of, like, let's say maybe you work for the city and your boss is like, hey, you know, we have some people that want to come build some apartments. You know, how do, you know, should we be building apartments? Do we project the population growth? Will we have enough people to make that happen? Okay, so you can see that I have some data in here. So we're going to actually be solving for the green cells and the pink cells. So from the instructions right here, it says, as with all the projects, we want to make sure that we start this project to make sure all the calculations show. So we're going to go over here to formulas and calculation options, automatic. And let's go ahead and save. I should probably save this too. So I'm going to do a file save as. You're going to save it wherever you're saving files. I'm going to save mine in my downloads, and I'm just going to replace my name at the end. Okay. Next step, it says change the name of the worksheet to growth rates and change the tab color to something other than white. So I'm going to go ahead and double click down here on sheet tab, and I'm going to say growth rates, press enter. And then to change the tab color, you can right click tab color. You can pick any color you like. I'll go ahead and pick this green here at the end, right? And just know that you don't really see it unless you click to another sheet tab, but we don't have to add another sheet, so I'm actually going to go ahead and delete that, right? But you can see that. All right, step 3, in cells C5 to H5, calculate the percentage increase using a rate of change formula. So basically what I want to know is I want to see the percentage, you know, in 1950 there were about 2,000 people living in Scottsdale, and then in a 10-year period in 1960 it went up to 10 people. So what percentage did it change? How much did it change? And so you can write a formula called the percentage increase. And the way that formula is it is the amount of increase divided by the base. And so the increase would be, you're working between two sets of data. So for a 10-year, the increase would be the difference between these two numbers. And then we're going to divide that by the base. The base would be the first number of the first year, or the 1950 year. So in this case, we're going to write a formula. It's not going to use a function. And because we're doing, in this case, subtraction first, we want to make sure that we put that inside parentheses. So with your cursor in C5, we want to go ahead and start with the equal sign. And we're going to say open parentheses. And we're going to take the larger number, 1960, right? 10,000 minus the 1950 number, 2,000, right? So that's how much it changed. It's about changed by 8,000 people, right? And so if you started with 2,000 and you had a change of 8,000, the way you get that percentage is you take that difference, so the 10,000 minus the 2,000, and you divide it by the base, which is the 2,000, right? So the formula would be equal, open parentheses, C4 minus B4, close parentheses. That represents the amount of increase. And then you want to divide that by B4, which is the base. And I'm going to go ahead and press enter, and we get 3.93. So I actually want to see that as a percentage. So in step 4, I actually have you format it as a percentage. The first thing I can do is you can do one of two things. I can actually use my fill handle and copy it all the way across. And then I have all of these are already highlighted. I can come to the home ribbon and choose percentage, and I already have 0 decimal places there, so we don't have to change that. So you can see in 1950 with 2,000 people, we went up to 10,000. That was almost a 400% increase. And to show you that it's correct, I do have the answer key open, and you can see we get all the same numbers. We're going to ignore that. We're going to ignore that. We're going to ignore that. Okay, so you can see that we got the same numbers. We got the correct answers. You always want to verify the answers. So it went up by 300%. And then from 1960 to 1970, there was a huge boom, right? We got 10,000 to 67,000 people moved to Scottsdale. That's almost a 600% increase, right? So you can see the population was really exploding in the 1970s. Then it started to decrease because obviously Scottsdale is sort of landlocked, right? There's not much growth. You can't really grow out. You could grow up, right? But we can't really spread out too much because then we get into, you know, Fountain Hills and Paradise Valley and Tempe and then Mason. You know, there's other cities that surround. So then you can see less people are moving to to Scottsdale. So from 1980 to 90, it went up by 47%, and then it went up by 56%, and now you can see it really dropped off. So really, from 2000 to 2010, there really isn't that much more space left for people to move to, right? So that's why there's a low percentage. So if we wanted to, we could continue on this formula. If we wanted to see what 2020 was, you know, we could project that, or we would get the numbers for 2020, and then we could copy that formula over. All right, so that's one set of data that that is calculating the rate of change, or calculate the increase using a rate of change formula. All right, step 5. Copy the value in cell H4 and paste the value only in cell B12. So I want to take this number here, 217, and I want to take it and just paste the value only right here in B12. Now, the reason I'm showing this is sometimes like if I were to click on this cell here, you can see there's a formula, right? And I don't want to copy the formula. I just want the numbers. So what a paste value allows you to do is just take the numbers and leave all the formulas and formatting behind. So I could do a Control-C to copy, right? And I can place my cursor in B12, and then you can either come up here to the home ribbon and click paste, and you can see there's paste values has 3 different options. I have just the values with the formatting, and the values and the source formatting, meaning the formatting that came from up here, right? We just want the values. I like that the best, and then I can apply whatever formatting I want. So it took the same number, but it got rid of that comma. Control-S to save, and that'll turn off the selection. All right, so in C12 to E12, we want to calculate the value after increase using the estimated growth rate. So now what we're doing is looking at a projection. So the first half of the worksheet kind of talked about what happened in the past, but the second half is saying, okay, well, if we can assume there was a 10% increase, let's say population increased by 10% every 10 years, what would that population look like, right? Like maybe we brought some developers in and they're building some skyscrapers and we could, you know, increase that. What would the population look like? So we're going to go ahead and so the formula for that's called a value after increase. That formula is a little bit different. That's going to be the base number, right, times, and then in parentheses, 100% plus the percent of increase. So the base is this 217,000 number, and then we're going to take that and multiply it by essentially 110%, right? We're going to take 100% and add it to the 10%, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put my cursor in C12. I'm going to start with my equal sign. And the base is this first number in B12, okay, times, right? And then I use parentheses. It's going to be 100%. You actually want to type in the 100 and the percent plus the 10%. But I don't want to type in 10% if I can reference it in a cell location. Okay. Now, in the instructions, step B, it says, hint, be sure to use absolute cell referencing in this formula. Okay. So I'm actually telling you somewhere in here we need absolute cell referencing. So as a reminder, you're always going to apply absolute cell referencing to a cell whose value you don't want to change when you copy it across, right, or copy it down. So by now, hopefully you haven't forgotten after spring break, but what you should remember is that if I'm referencing information in one cell location and that exists in one place only, that is a big clue that that would be the absolute cell reference. So if you're sitting there saying, okay, well, which one do I make the absolute? It's either going to be this one, the 217, or the 10%. Well, it's going to be the 10% because I want 10% to remain 10% every time I copy that formula. So right now with my cursor still at the end of B9, I can press the F4 key, function 4, right, on a PC keyboard, or I can manually type in the $ in front of the B and in front of the 9 if I was on a PC. close my parentheses, press enter, and you can see right there it's telling me it went from 217,000 to 239,000. 10%, if I assume a 10% increase in population, 10% more people move to Scottsdale, this is what that would look like. And now if I use my fill handle, I can see what that looks like over time. I start with 217,000, and every 10 years, I would by 2040 we're at 289,000 people. If we assume 10%, it increased 10% every 10 years. To format that, I can select all the cells, and we want to format that comma style with 0 decimal places, right? Okay, so you can see what that increase would look like over time. And just to remember, to prove to you, if I double click any one of these, you can see the base would change, right? I have a new base every 10 years, so I do want that number to change, but I don't want the 10% to change. That's why I made the 10% the absolute cell reference. Pressing escape to get out of edit mode. Okay, step 8, create a line chart with markers that shows the population growth from 1950 to 2010. And then move the chart so the upper left corner is in the middle of A14, and then apply these different formats to it. All right, so I want to create a line chart that shows the population growth from 1950 to 2010. So I'm going to select this data right here, right? I want to make sure that I include these labels as well as the information. All right, I'm going to zoom just out a little bit so you guys can see it, right? So I want to make sure that I'm selecting all of this information, and I can actually include the labels, year, and population. That's going to help make my chart look really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and go to insert the 2D line. I want the line with markers, right here, okay? And if I come back to my answer key, I can see, okay, that looks good. It's starting to look the same, right? Okay, that's good. So now I'm just going to do some formatting. The first thing is move it so the upper left corner is in the middle of cell A14. That's what I'm looking for. There's A14. There's the upper left. That's kind of what I'm looking for. It says change the chart title to population growth. If you click one time on chart title, you can just start typing population growth. Now, you don't see it change here on the chart, but you are seeing the text appear in that formula bar. That's where you're seeing it, right? Chart growth to 1950 to 2010. Press enter, right? And it goes ahead and sets the chart title. Ensure the category axis shows the years 1950 to 2010. This one's a little bit tricky, and I believe this one's also in your grader. So you can see I want the actual years to be right down here where it says 1 through 7. I want it to actually be 1950 through 2010. So what you want to do is you want to click on your chart one time. Then you want to click on this horizontal axis. You want to make sure that you've selected this axis, okay? That's what we're trying to change. And then once I click on that, I can right click and choose select data. Okay, and so what's happening is it actually brings up this dialog box and it shows you, oh, okay, here's all this data I selected. You can see the marching ants, you know, that's what we selected to begin with. So I can click on different things to change. I don't want it to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I want to edit that. I want to change it to be just the year. So if I click edit, I can actually tell it what range, access label range, what cells do I want it to say? Well, I want it to be B3 through H3, right? Click OK, and look at that, voila. It replaced the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with each of the years. Okay, this next one's kind of fun. If you're creating a chart, you can actually kind of jazz it up, make it super exciting. So it says insert an online picture of Scottsdale into the plot area of the chart. So if you were to double click, first of all, you could just click and hover, and you can see this is the chart area. If I hover over this, this is the chart title. If I hover over this, that's the horizontal category axis. That's what we changed in the last step. And in the center is the plot area. That's what I'm looking for, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click on the plot area. I can actually double click the plot area, and that opens up that panel, okay? And again, it says format plot area. I know I'm in the right area. If I was clicked on this, it says chart title. If I click in this white area, it says format chart area. So this is how you can kind of double check yourself to make sure that you are formatting the right part of the chart. All right, so I want to fill it with, I want to insert an online picture, so that would be a fill picture, right? And it puts this lovely gray hatching, yellow hatching. We don't like that. We want to actually insert picture from online, so I can click online, and then I can just do a search for the word Scottsdale. Right? And just pick whatever picture you like. I'm going to go ahead and pick this one of downtown Scottsdale. I'll click insert, and you see it inserts this picture. And then I want you to go ahead and reduce the transparency a little bit. It's really like kind of in your face. So let's, if we come over here to transparency, I could type in a 70, and you can see that makes it lighter. Okay. If I didn't like the picture, I could go back to online. I could search for Scottsdale again. Maybe I'll pick this one instead, click OK, and you see it changes and it keeps that transparency. All right, the last thing it says is add a 3-point solid border to the chart using the first color in the 5th column. So this time it's not a fill, but it's the border, right? And I wanted it to be, I'm going to click on the whole chart, format the whole chart area. That gets me the border to the whole chart. Increase this to 3. And I'm going to pick the first column, the 5th column, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. And if I come over here to the key, there you go. Right? Oh, it says population growth 60 years. Did I have the wrong title in there? I did. Okay, so those of you who are like, I made a mistake. Okay, that's good. Mistakes are awesome, right? That's good. I checked it. Oh, I have the wrong title. Okay, I can just come in here and double click this, right? And it's supposed to be population growth 60 years, right? Enter. Oops, not enter. Click. That's it. Okay. Sometimes even I'm the teacher, I forget. Okay. All right. The last thing we're going to do is do some like page setup stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and close this panel to make it a little bit easier to see. Change the orientation to landscape. So page layout. I can go orientation landscape. If it was already portrait, we would just change it to landscape. Set the scaling to fit on one page, so I can come over here to the scale to fit, expand that, and I could, whoops, my apologies. I have to actually click my worksheet before I can do the scaling, the orientation. So now, see how it says portrait? I clicked in the worksheet. I want to choose landscape. I'm going too fast. I need to slow down. Now I can change the scaling. I can expand that and choose fit to. 1 page by 1 page tall. That's what I'm asking for. Add the file name as a field to the footer of the left section. So I like to do that through the page setup. Header footer, custom footer. And then my cursor is already blinking in the left section. I click this little icon, insert file name. And then the next one says add the sheet name as a field to the footer in the right section. So right here over in the right section I can click. And I can do the sheet name, which is this guy right here, just to the right of the, looks like the Excel icon. Click OK. You can see a little preview right here. And if I actually click print preview, and if I minimize my instructions, we can kind of see what it looks like. And there we go. There's the Excel growth rates, and you can see the growth rates right down there in the lower right corner. That's the sheet tab, and then it fits really nicely on this worksheet. So hopefully this is just over 18 minutes. This will take you through the assignment, and go ahead and complete it and turn it in. And let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.